Hey y'all, it's DJ. Welcome back to my channel. Happy November. So let's just talk about how November is absolutely the best month out of any and every year because I was born in November. This is my month. All the Sagittarius out there, just stand up. Give yourself a pat on the back. We've made it this far, dealing with all the other signs and the craziness that has gone on this year. So shout out to all the Sagittarius out there. But let's also make the distinction that there is a huge difference between November Sagittarius and December Sagittarius. Now, I love all my Sagittarius siblings. However, y'all Sagittarius that was born in December, something is different about y'all. Like, I know that we all have our shortcomings. I know we crazy, but them December Sagittarius, people born in November, we're just different. So, hey, all my November Sagittarius, y'all know what it is. It is what it is. So this video is dedicated to my November book haul where I spent all my money on used books. Now, the funny thing about used books, for me, I always think very dramatically, and I feel like, oh, so if I'm buying a used book, it's probably coming out of somebody's basement where they had like a raccoon infestation, or like everything is just wet, damp, and moldy. But most of these books that I purchase on Amazon that are used are coming from like libraries, which is kind of strange to me because I'm like, so is it that like no one's reading these books at this library? Like, can we not just keep all the books in the library? Like, why would you be selling them? But I guess that's something that I need to research, because I was just like, why are all these books coming from the libraries? Like, are we closing libraries? Like, what's going on? But that's okay, because someone bought those books. That's me. Someone will be reading those books. So the library didn't fail us altogether. So this is actually my first book haul video. I've never done a book haul video, and I watch tons of book haul videos. Like, some people will be like, oh, my 50 book haul. And I'm like, 50 is a lot. I've even seen some do 100 books. And I mean, God bless you. I'm always buying books, and I should just kind of like buy them all and like put them in a pile and be like, hey, book haul. But that's what I'm doing now. So here we are. So the first book in my November book haul is Midnight's Children. And this book is by Salman Rushdie. This is actually the 40th anniversary edition. I've never heard of this book. I mean, of course, I haven't heard of every book, but I really enjoy the cover. My favorite color is red. And I saw that it was on this list for used books, and boom, used book. All of these books that I'm talking about today, I got for under $10. So there's that. I mean. So this book apparently is about someone named Salim who is born on a specific night, specific time, and along with 1,000 other children born at this time, they all have this connection that brings them together through magic. I believe that's what I read on the back of this book. So this link that he has with these other children links him to his nation. This is in modern India, and Salim is thrown into a whirlwind of disasters, triumphs, and yeah, so I'll be pushing to read this at some point. These books are not the books that I plan on reading during November, which you never know. But first book in my book haul, magic, children, craziness, love that. We're all about that. So if anybody has read this book, you know what to do in the comments. Let me know about what you're feeling about this book. Boom. So the next book on my list is a book that I actually got from work. I recently changed jobs, but the job that I was working prior to this one, every month we did a little like event for the people in the neighborhood. It was very local. They love to reach out and do things with the community. So my last month there, we did a little like community library where everyone kind of like brought books from home or went out and purchased used books, something that we could start for the community and like exchange books, sell them, just get involved in some type of literary connection. So I found this book at the event and I was just like, I'm gonna read it. That book is A Thousand Fires. This book is by Shannon Price. I have no idea what this book is about. It could be about elk, or it could be about airplanes. I don't know. I literally just picked this book up and was like, I'm going to take this book. I'm going to give you guys one of my books, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to read it and see what happens. I always give away books that I hate. There's many books that I've read. I have them on my shelves. I hate those books. I did not enjoy them, and I'm always giving those books away. But then, like, I tell people about books that I love, and they're like, oh my God, well, when you're done, let me read it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll let you hold my book when I'm done. And I always find a way out of that. I just feel like I'm not giving anybody a book that I love. I'll buy you a new book. I'll buy you one. I'll send you the link. I'll give you a gift card. You can figure out how you're going to get that book. But for me, if I purchase a book and I love that book, I'm not going to give it to you. I don't care how you get to read the story. I am not giving you my book. I'm a millennial, so I grew up in a time where we were like in love with our CDs, our like VHS tapes and our cassette tapes and different things. Like, we had our things, and I gave away so many things to the point where I never saw those things again. I won't make that mistake, not in this big grown age, not in 2023 or going forward. You're not getting my book if I love it. But if I hate it, I'll give it to you. We'll figure something out, but this is where we are. But yeah, so A Thousand Fires, I've spoken all this time not about the book, so I feel like I kind of did do a little review or a little something on this. So apparently this book is about someone named Valerie, and she is going to be fighting. I don't know if it's going to be like gangs or like human gangs, or if it has something to do with her fighting a stag or elk or something like that. I've barely read what's on the inside of this jacket. I just have the book and I will read it. But it kind of reminds me of another book that I read by an author, and I will not talk about that book because I did not like that book. I actually hated that book. And the crazy thing about it is that I brought that book with the deer on it, the one that I own. Hold on, let me actually get the book. But yeah, so this book looks like the book that I did not like, that I brought to work so that someone could take that book and I can exchange it. And I ended up exchanging it for a book that looks just like the book that I didn't like. But wouldn't you know that no one took the book? It's this book. It is The Only Good Indians, and this is by Stephen Graham Jones. Now, this is the only book I've ever read by Stephen Graham Jones. I hear so much talk about him, like he's great. People love him. They love his books. This book I did not like. I don't know if I did a review. We can go back into the older videos and see, but like, I didn't like this. Quickly, I'll just say the reason I didn't like it is because it had so much potential to actually be something that I would like, and for some reason it kept turning into everything that I was just not liking. If you've read this book, we can talk about how we feel. If you have not read this book, I didn't like it, so I wouldn't tell you to read it. If you do, I don't know, leave a comment in the future and whatever. But this book ended up being about a deer getting revenge on people that killed her and her family by becoming a person, but also being a deer person, like a person with a deer head that got revenge on a few Native American guys because of revenge, murder. So this book that I brought to work that I thought was going to be taken away, get away from me, it didn't. No one took that book, and I ended up taking home a book that reminds me of that cover. So if this book is not good, if I don't like this book, it's my fault. It's only my fault that I didn't notice in the moment that I was like taking a book that I was giving. But we can't just group books together, right? Like, I don't know, but I'm gonna read A Thousand Fires, and I hope that it's better than The Only Good Indians. So the next book on my November book haul list is New People, and this is by Danzy Senna. I think that's how you say her name. Sorry if I butcher your name. I'm just not good with names. But this is the cover. I actually really love this cover. I'm not sure why I picked this book. Maybe it is because of the cover. Maybe I've heard something. Usually I'll be scrolling on Instagram and I'll see somebody post a book and I'm like, I like that book. I want to get it. And I end up making a list and I buy a certain book. So this book is about a couple by the name of Maria and Khalil, and they are college sweethearts and they are professionals. They're living their dream. They are doing their thing at their prospective jobs, and somewhere along the way, Maria starts to fall for a poet that she meets, and it kind of like throws everything out of whack. I'm not usually a type of person to be into like romance or like love stories like rom-coms or any of that. Usually I don't, but I mean, not to say that they're not great stories, because every time I do read one of those stories, they are great, but it always just makes me feel like, okay. It's so funny, like most of the entertainment world, when it comes to anything that is on screen, there's always some type of romantic aspect. You could be watching the most masculine, toxic masculine action movie or superhero movie or whatever you're watching. Some way, somehow, there's going to be romance or some type of like sexually connected content thrown into it. So you just can't get away from it. But it's always so cliche. So I think what kind of draws me away from like romance or like romantic comedy or even like romantic action, it's just the clichéness of it all. Like if someone decided to come out with things that were like a little bit more like off the top and like, whoa, didn't see that coming, yes, maybe I might get into a little bit of more romantic content. But for now, when they find their way to my doorstep, I shall take them in. But yeah, so New People. Not really sure what this is about. Like I said, I just bought it. But hopefully I like it. Yeah. So the next book on my November book haul list is Lagoon. And this is by Nnedi Okorafor. So it's so funny how I'm always like buying books, and I like have some of these books on my list for years. Like, why didn't you buy this a long time ago, DJ? Like, what are you even doing? But I have it now, and I've had this book on my list for a very long time. And I know that I have a little glare, but hopefully you guys can like see this book. It's really cool. I love that. Also used. Every book on this list is used, under $10. So, woo. But yeah, so, and having this book on my list for so long, I didn't realize that I had purchased other books from this author in the past and actually read those books, and this book was on the list first. But okay, those books are, hold on, I have them back here. So I read Remote Control by the same author, and this book, even though it's very short, it is very short, there is a lot going on in this book. Like this book really, really took me through it. It was another like experience like when I first read Wild Seed, and I was just like, whoa, what the hell is this? Very much another story about someone who has amazing power and how they're just trying to be a great person in the world, or just be, and how the world somehow turns them into a monster, but they're not monsters. It's just what the world does to some of us, many of us, if not all of us in some way. This book is amazing. It follows a girl named Fatima, but who becomes Sankofa, and she has a very mysterious power that really doesn't work out for her in many ways, but when you read the story, you just kind of like fall in love with this girl, and it's just a lot, but also by the same author. Whoa. So apparently this book is about a spaceship landing in a large body of water. I don't know if it's like an ocean or something like that, but when the spaceship lands in this water, it creates this tsunami. It creates a tidal wave that kind of like ruins certain things. But there are 3 people or so that witness the ship coming down and landing, and by some way, happenstance or something, they end up changed by this situation. Well, that's pretty much what the synopsis says. I'm not sure yet, but they end up having some type of connection with this spaceship. And of course, once the military and the governments of all the countries of the world find out about this spaceship landing, what do humans do? First thing they want to do is kill the aliens. They're figuring out ways how they can like drop bombs on the spaceship, how they can like interact with these aliens through violence, which this is what humans do, clearly. Like wherever we are in life right now, we are actively watching humans try to fix problems with violence. So how timely. But yeah, so these 3 people that witness the crash landing of this spaceship end up trying to fix the problem, save the day. I don't know if they're trying to intercept the government from like dropping bombs or if they're joining them. Who knows? Haven't really read much about this book or watched any reviews, so we shall see, because I will read this very soon. If you've read this book, if you've read Lagoon, leave a comment, let me know what's good. So the next book from my November book haul is Gingerbread, and this is by Helen Oyeyemi. This is another book that I have no idea what it's about. I mean, the cover is beautiful. I do think that this is very pretty. Very pretty. I love it. And speaking of Brits, this book is about a girl. Her name is Perdita, and she lives with her mother, Harriet, and they actually live in London. And her mother tells her many stories of her childhood, and it seems to be, you know, very interesting stories that some may believe or not believe. So a few years later, Perdita is like trying to go down memory lane and find friends, or a certain friend that her mother had back in the day. And that friend has a lot to do with the good and the bad things that her mother may have experienced in her younger life. And that friend's name is Gretel. Perdita is just figuring out a lot of things, learning a lot of things, and apparently like her mom made really good gingerbread. And some way, somehow, those things are intertwined. So this is giving, like, you know, one of those fictional stories that is like centered around family, centered around like experiences and different connections through friends. So it kind of shines a light on the fact that parents aren't always telling the truth, adults aren't always telling the truth, and there may be some things that Perdita will learn about her mom, Harriet, that may shock her or just may change the narrative of their connection and their relationship. So I do plan on reading Gingerbread. For some reason, I feel like I've read something from this author before. I just don't know if I have, but yeah, it's a short read. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. If you have read this book, you know what to do in the comments. So the next book on my November book haul list is Yonder. And Yonder is by Jabari Asim. Another really, really cool cover. Can you guys see that? Is it like in focus? I hope it is. This book is said to be a balance between The Water Dancer and The Prophets. I do have both those books. I read The Prophet. I have not read The Water Dancer yet, which is strange because it's told to be such a great book, such a great story, and it's by someone that I have read, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I've read some of his stuff before. I just haven't read that book, which I need to get to. If that is the case, that this book is a run between those two books, I'm probably going to be ready to have my heart broken, because The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr., this book was absolutely amazing. And I mean, of course it was gut-wrenching. Of course it was one of those books that like broke my heart into pieces. But like, as you can see from all my tabs, you can see all the things that I had to like highlight and write about. This book was something that needed to be told, a story that needed to be heard. The situations of love and having to change your ways of love and having to be thrusted into certain experiences that can be seen as love, but they're really abuse. Just, whew. So if they're saying that this is something like this, I'll just say I guess I'm ready to be ruined once again. I know that this story is following a group of Africans or African Americans that are on a plantation, and they are dealing with a slave owner, and they're dealing with the drasticness of slavery. I've read tons of books like that. Each story is always somehow very similar, but yet distantly related to the other stories. So I don't know much about this book. I know that it does have to do with love, family, betrayal, and the craziness of the era. So hopefully I enjoy it. If anyone has read Yonder, let me know in the comments. You already know. Hopefully this is good. I love the way this book looks. It's really cool. So we are getting down to the last two books on my list for this book haul. I don't feel like this was like a really big book haul. It was a very like training session for a real book haul. It was only like 8 books, but I got to like incorporate some other books that I love. So, you know, we're doing something here. We're doing something. The next book on my November book haul list is American Dirt. And this is by Janine Cummings. So this is like the only book out of all the books that came in the mail from my used book list that kind of got messed up. And I mean, I don't know if you guys can tell. I mean, it does look good. It's not like ripped or anything like that, but there is like some water damage that like kind of, you know, messed things up. It's all wrinkly and there's some little crazy stains in the back, but whatever, you know, a book is a book. You know, the inside isn't messed up. And there's also this really cool like map going on in here. I think I made a good purchase. I really do. I really do think I made a good purchase. And also under $10. This book is originally $27, $28 to be exact, and in Canada, $37. So $10. I think I actually got this for like $8.50. Not bad. Not bad. And this is also a book that I've wanted to read since I had like started my reading journey over again. I've seen it all over like Instagram. I've seen it everywhere where people talk about books. And I've just been like, no. And the reason that I said no for a while is because I saw a few bad reviews. I didn't really get into those reviews because at the time I didn't have the book, but I have it. It's also an Oprah Book Club book, and I mean, not that I'm a huge fan of Oprah's, but usually they pick books that I end up loving. So we shall see. This book follows a character by the name of Lydia, and she has a husband who is a journalist, and she has a son. And apparently something is going on with a new guy who comes into town where they live in Mexico, and he ends up being like the new leader of this cartel in the area. And of course, with her husband being a journalist, he has to do a write-up, an article or a story about what's going on, and he does a write-up on this new cartel leader, which ends up having them on the run. I'm not sure if like the husband is killed because of what he's written, but based off of what I've read from this book, from like the synopsis, is that Lydia and her son Luca go on the run. So I'm not sure if her husband is with her. Maybe he ends up being murdered, because any and everyone knows, like, you mess with the cartel, you just might not mess with anyone ever again, because it gets brutal. So watch what you do, watch what you say, watch what you write if it pertains to the cartel, because things get crazy. They're on the run and they're going through it, and apparently they're on a train, or they catch multiple trains so that they can get to the north. I plan on reading this at some point, but I do now have it in my possession. So yeah, American Dirt. Woo! The water really got to this book. But yeah, doing a lot of talking today. A lot of talking. This is what these book hauls are really like. Like, for all y'all booktubers out there and people who do a lot of videos, let me know in the comments if this is just what it is, because like, based off what my camera is saying, I've been recording and talking for too long. It's been a long time. The editing is going to be crazy. But that being said, we are at the last book on my November book haul list. This stack has come a long way. Awesome that I'm talking about this book last, because this is a book that I've wanted for a very long time. And I've wanted this book for a long time because the cover is just so beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. If you don't love it, it is what it is. But on this channel, we love this. This book, this cover. So this is The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. This is nice. This is nice. This is it. This is nice. I love this. I need to get my nails done. If anyone is watching this and they have something to say about these nails, I do apologize. I know. This book is pretty much self-explanatory. It's about redlining. It's about the obvious changes throughout history in America when it comes to writing law and writing legislation based off of who can live where, why they should live there, and what detriment certain groups may have to other groups based off of their location. So we have tons of research based off of the happenings between certain governments and the community of where people can live, or where they can work, or where certain things are allocated based off of race, based off of where you are from or who you are. I love things like this. I love to read nonfiction, and it's November, so maybe I will actually read this for Nonfiction November, but it does speak about certain things that a lot of people don't believe have happened in this country. A lot of people are under the assumption that there were no racist laws written. Some people believe that it happened so long ago that it's unbelievable that it would happen today or that it would have effects on people today, but it does. So yeah, I just want to read and get more information on this, and it may even open up some doors for change now, and it may give me information on helping me find my first dream home, or, you know, knowing which places to stay away from. There's always great information to learn when it comes to our history and our now, because there are certain places that we all know Black people don't live there, white people live there, white people don't live there, Asians live there, Asians don't live there. So many different places, so many different groups that have been separated, and it is written into law, and some states take it into their own hands to just not abide by the law and have people live in certain places or segregate certain people. Last book on the list, but definitely not the least. Love the cover and can't wait to read it. Boom. Okay. This has definitely been an amazing, awesome experience for my first book haul. I must do them again. I do want to do one of those like really big book hauls that everyone does on YouTube, and just kind of have more fun with it and actually start to read more of the summaries for these books so that I have a little bit more to talk about. Even though I've talked my head off in this video, I always want to elevate and upgrade the experience that I'm bringing for this channel. That being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had fun and you enjoyed, and maybe you've gotten some awesome recommendations for your future TBR from this video. I will see you next time.